On this channel, we cover a lot of different areas, and in this video, we kind of wanted to give you more of an idea of like pros and cons of the different areas, depending on where you would want to live, maybe just vacation, but we focus a lot on best city to live. So we're going to kind of go over Sarasota, Venice, Northport, Englewood, Osprey, and Nokomis. Okay, so kick things off. Let's do Sarasota first.
Sure.
Pros.
Pros. Sarasota has a lot of pros, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful city. It's somewhat of a big city, but it's not too overwhelmingly big.
Yeah, like Orlando was when we lived there. That was too much.
It has a lot of the main things that we like to do, and it has a lot of different restaurants, different cuisines, and it also has that nightlife.
Yeah, and I think for sure I would say the one thing for us with Sarasota is there's a little bit more culture to it. You know, there's more diversity and things like that, which for us is big just because we like different foods. I mean, Venice has a little bit of that, but not as much to offer, which that's where we live is Venice. What other pros with Sarasota?
Siesta Key.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
that's a big pro.
Yeah, voted #1 beach in the
US?
United States by TripAdvisor, I think by the actual people. So last year that was, I believe, 2020.
We didn't know this until we went out and explored Siesta Key, but Siesta Village is really cool. It's like a little downtown area.
And that's another actually pro to Sarasota is they kind of like 4 different downtowns. There's one that we drove past. I don't even know what that one was called. Then you got St. Armand's Circle. And then the actual Sarasota downtown, and then that Siesta Key Village, and then there was that 4th one that we didn't even know what it was. So that's kind of cool. Downtown areas are always really fun, especially when you got that beach vibe going on.
They have murals painted on walls, and it's just like a different.
And even like architectural type art and things like that in the downtown area. Very cool. Very vibrant and cultural and artistic and modern, but still in certain pockets you can get some of that old Florida feel. And that's the other thing I like about Sarasota. The more we check out different pockets of the city is there's a lot of different types of ways that you can live there. You can do the condo. You could potentially get something with a big yard. You know, you don't see that in a lot of big cities. A lot of big cities, it's kind of like mainly a certain way. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. I
do like that about Sarasota too, that you have the option of either going like more condo or more house on the city kind of thing, but also you could get something like kind of woodsy, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, almost country.
Yeah.
Cons of Sarasota.
Price,
I mean, it's higher. It's not ridiculously more than Venice, honestly, but it's enough to maybe keep a couple people from moving there versus here. Yeah. Traffic.
Traffic,
it's definitely not on that Orlando or Miami level, but
it's busier, but it's not horrible.
I can't really think of too many other cons about it. I just think with it, you know, it's just like any cons you're gonna have there are pretty much gonna be the same in the other ones. You know, the things you always hear like cons for any pros and cons of any city or Florida in general. You know, bugs, which I don't think they're as bad as some people make them out to be. The heat, which is a pro and a con.
But moving to Florida, that's what you're signing up for.
Yeah. And I mean, any of these cities too that we're talking about, there is a little bit more risk with hurricanes because you are closer to the coast. But, you know, Venice, I think they said it's been like 100 years since they've been hit by a Category 5, which Sarasota and...
So we're due for one.
Yeah. And the other ones being just north and south, I don't see them being at much more risk either. I guess I haven't really kept tabs as much on that. Venice pros.
It's a beautiful city, small town feel. You are close to the Gulf of Mexico, like about 10-15 minutes from pretty much anywhere in Venice. And the historic downtown is pretty cool.
And you're not very far from Sarasota. If you are into more of that kind of stuff, which, you know, it depends on what end you're on. South end of Venice, it's going to be a little bit more of a drive. You know, if you want to get to like Siesta Key, you're looking at like a 40-minute drive. But if you want to just get to the south end of Sarasota, where there's like a mall and a theater and things like that, then 20 to 30 minutes if you're coming from the south end of Venice to the south end of Sarasota.
Yeah, so that's not too bad.
And I'd say another pro about Venice, lots of friendly people. I would say somewhat with Sarasota too, but definitely you can see the difference of it's a little bit bigger city feel there versus here. The people are very friendly. Small town feel with the high school and, you know, the community kind of rallying around sports teams and things like that for the little bit of youth that's here. It's definitely more of a retirement type of a city. And then, of course, you got all your other little specific things. You've got the jetty. You've got the pier. Sharky's on the pier.
Sharkies.
And it's a little more affordable compared to Sarasota.
A little bit. Not much more affordable, but a little bit.
Yeah.
Cons.
Cons, I would say, it depends on you as a person, but the small townness could be a con because there's not quite as much shopping as Sarasota. Not quite as much diversity, not just with the people, but like the food and then the things that come with that, which if that's something that is important to you, you're not going to get quite as much of that.
Yeah, just that small town feel. Like it's great, but sometimes if you do want to do something like nightlife or you want to go shopping at a mall or, things like that, you don't have them here. So you do have to drive to Sarasota.
There is a few things, but you're not going to get like a club here.
Yeah.
But there's going to be like tiki bars and stuff like that where maybe there's live music that you could go to at night. But yeah, definitely not as much of like that city nightlife.
If you're a younger person or couple like we are, there's really no options here to go. Well, like me, there are really no options. Other than the bars where for me, dancing is like a big thing. Like I love to dance and I can go to a bar and sit down and drink, but I'd rather go to a club and dance.
Yeah.
So that's one thing we don't have here.
Should we lump together Nokomis and Osprey? Even though they're separate, I feel like they're different actually.
I would say Osprey, since it's closer to Sarasota, it would make more sense to like lump it to Sarasota.
Yeah, but it's more of like an outskirt of Sarasota too. I don't know. It's kind of like out on its own. I definitely get the feeling that it's a little less developed now, but it seems like it's about to explode.
And it's pretty close to Sarasota, so you can clearly see that a lot of newer communities that are on that end close to Sarasota are being developed for people that want to be close to Sarasota, but not in Sarasota.
Yeah, and honestly, I personally, I think that area might be a great spot to try to move just because you're really close to that south end of Sarasota, which, isn't maybe right by the downtown and all that, but you are close to a lot of the new shopping centers that just went in there, the UTC, the theater. So there's a lot going on that south end of Sarasota that would be great to be really close to, and then, maybe you don't have to pay that Sarasota price. I guess depends on where you end up.
Right. If you're in a planned community, then yeah, you are going to pay for it. But if you're like out in
a little more of
the
country,
outskirts, yeah.
Cons of Osprey.
From what we saw when we drove around, it seems almost like the country, like almost like Northport, but a little more country.
Yeah, and it seems like there's a few different like gated communities and things like that, and they're fairly new, but I could see more coming in. I think if you want a little bit of a quieter life, but still have the Sarasota big city amenities, I don't know if I call it a big city, but pretty big, then that's a great spot to be because you get the best of both worlds.
And Osprey is really close to Casey Key too, so that's pretty cool. And Casey Key is
gorgeous, amazing.
Yes.
So maybe we'll link you to some videos for any of these areas that we have at this point that makes sense for you, so you can check out more about the areas. Should we jump into Nokomis? Keep working our way down?
Sure.
Oh, we went. So you can see on the map on the coast, it would be Sarasota, Venice, Nokomis, Osprey, and then Englewood's going to be down here, Northport. So let's do Nokomis. Pros.
Really close to Venice. It almost feels like you're still in Venice.
Yeah.
But you can see the difference.
It's a different vibe.
Yeah. And it is a little more affordable.
Yeah.
And you're still close to Sarasota.
Yeah, which is nice. You're right. You're pretty much part of Venice.
In between almost.
And you're a little bit closer to Sarasota. I mean, most of the pros that you would give about Venice, honestly.
Yeah.
Just add those back with Nokomis, just because it's pretty much the same area.
It's just Nokomis is more like a residential area. There's nothing really.
Yeah, and it seems like there's less gated communities.
Yeah.
And it's more just people that have a house on a lot that they own. I will say some of the pockets definitely seem like the houses are a little bit older compared to Venice. In Nokomis, they're a little older. and just not certain pockets don't seem like they're kept up as well. But that would, I guess, be some of the cons.
And then some of the pockets, you can tell it's mainly like mobile homes and not well kept either.
Yeah, and this could be a pro or a con too. There are a few pockets in Nokomis that we saw that do seem a little bit more country. You know, you get a little bit more land and whatnot. There's not a lot of that in Venice just because it's such a kind of spot that people want to live, and they kind of pack them. I don't want to say pack people in, but it's, you know, a little bit less.
It's pretty compact,
spread out. But then at the same time with Nokomis, if you are like in like a mobile home area or whatever, you're also gonna be compact. It just depends on what you happen to find available. But it does seem like also with Nokomis there might be a little more land out there to potentially build with.
No? Think so? No, not when we drove by, and lots barely come available.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm thinking more on that north end of Nokomis as you start heading towards Osprey. Englewood, pros.
Beach town. It's a pretty cool town actually. It's like that old Florida vibes, and the beach. I mean, the beach is not the greatest just because you have a lot of shells. That
could be a pro though.
That hurt your feet.
It depends on.
It depends on what you like,
yeah.
But like for me, it's not that great. But the one in Venice is not that great either for me. And homes are a little bit more affordable there than, say, Sarasota or Venice. And you do get a little bigger lot, not much.
And one thing I do want to mention with the beaches in Englewood and Venice, again, it depends on what you're looking for. Siesta Key, you get that powdered sugar sand that's completely just comfortable on your feet and whatever. Sarasota or Venice and Englewood, that's not the case. But if you like hunting for seashells, prehistoric shark teeth, Venice is the shark tooth capital of the world, but you can still find a lot of that same stuff in Englewood as well. But so that could be a pro. It just depends. Also with Englewood, the one thing I feel like it's a little bit more lively in a way. It's more relaxed in a way. It seems like people don't. It's not as like in Venice. It's like everything's very well taken care of. And in Englewood, I wouldn't say like it's run down or anything, but it's more just like they're like, it'll be fine. We don't have to like make sure everything's perfect. Let's just relax and enjoy life. Yeah. But I don't know how to explain it. But like when you're there, it's not perfectly pristine, but it comes across in a very good way.
And I think that's like that old Florida feel that I was talking about.
Yeah. I think that's a good way of describing it. I guess I just never, when people say old Florida, like what does that mean? You know, until you move to the area and you see it. You know what I mean? It's hard to really describe. And I also feel like this seems like there's more like a little bit more youth to the area.
Yes.
And, you know, live music and things like that. It seems like there's a lot of that in Venice too, but not the same vibe, not as much energy to it.
Yeah.
Also, with Englewood, like you said, you can get a place a little bit cheaper. I feel like there's a little bit more pockets of it that aren't like developed yet, so there's opportunity there, like there isn't in Venice on that side of things. I would say a con, a little bit more flood zone issues potentially in Englewood, but the way things are now in Florida, like they know how to mitigate those issues by having, you know, raising the house
or the lot.
Yeah. So that could become a little bit less of a factor. And it's actually really close to Venice too. So if you like Venice, Englewood, you know, depending on what end you're on, could be anywhere from a 20, maybe 25-minute drive to
5 minutes.
Yeah, as low as 5 minutes to get to Venice. Northport, pros.
Bigger house, bigger lot. You're more spread out, so you don't feel like you're on top of each other. More relaxed.
Even Englewood and Venice, I would say.
Yeah, but it's more like country.
It's weird because it's very residential, but in a way it feels like country.
Yeah, and I think it's because the houses are so spread out that's, you know, you get that feeling. And shopping. There's a lot more shopping in Northport.
Compared to?
Like Venice.
I think it's about equal.
No.
You don't think so? I don't think it's a lot more,
Not actual stores. You're thinking downtown.
No, I'm thinking of like, you know, in Venice all those new things that they're putting in, like the Aldi that just went in. You've got Marshall's there, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Marshall's is the only store there, like for clothing.
Oh, okay. Well, she would know more on that kind of stuff. Okay. Well, also I would say with Northport, there's a lot of potential options as well as far as like buying lots, land, building something that you want And yeah, like you mentioned, potential for a bigger house at a better price, and it's quiet. And one thing too, this might change over time, but you could get something where like there's a lot of pockets that it's like jungly woods or whatever you want to call it with palm trees and stuff, and there's just, you know, 1 or 2 houses maybe on that whole street, and then eventually little by little I think a lot of those woodsy places might get filled in, but you could maybe buy a couple of lots and kind of get that kind of country feel and keep that there for yourself. So something else to consider, I guess.
Yeah.
Cons, quiet.
Yeah, almost too quiet, and there is no beach.
Yeah, you're like 30-ish minutes from the beach. The quiet could be a pro, depending on what you like. But yeah, if you want lots of stuff to do or a little more action, not as much going on.
Right. But you can always drive 20, 30 minutes to a different city and you'll have that stuff.
Yeah. I would say because it's more land and it's a little more spread out, we mentioned this in the Venice versus Northport video, which we'll link down below. Getting from one end to the other of Northport, if you need to do whatever, could take a little longer because things are spread out. You know, you don't have the condos or the apartments where people are all stacked up, and you know, because of that, there's a lot of people compressed in one space. Everything's kind of spread out. So because of that, getting around town could take a little longer. Not because of traffic, really, just because of sheer distance. Because Northport, I can't remember the stat, but I want to say it's the biggest or one of the biggest cities in Florida as far as, you know, square mileage. Not necessarily big in terms of the amount of people. So one other thing to consider, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, with that being said, Northport still feels like a small town. It's just
for sure.
Really spread out, so it feels very country.
Yeah.
If you're looking to move to the area or have any questions about the area, feel free to contact me. I'll leave my information in the description box below.
And if this video was helpful, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications to catch the newest videos. And let us know with a comment anything else you would want to see.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.